Hello and welcome to a Technology Tuesday for the month of March 2009. This month I'm talking about filming in the classroom using consumer devices, using the Flip Mino, the Vado HD and the Zi6. And here on screen are the three cameras. The reason I'm looking at these is these are consumer devices that you can pick up for a reasonable cost. They're items that a lot of faculty have purchased or are considering purchasing for vacation use and use outside the classroom. However, these are potentially great devices to record something that goes on within the classroom. But out of the three, which is the best device? Well, the features that I'm looking for are the ability to record at least 3 hours of classroom time. And this would cover a typical class here at DePaul. I'm looking for something that has good quality audio and video. I'm looking for something that I can put on top of a tripod. Ideally, the device has a removable battery, so if the battery is flat, I can put in a new one. And I want it to be easy to use and easy to edit. So those are the features. Let's have a look at a basic comparison between the three devices. Starting off with the Vado HD, the cost is $220. The Flip Mino is $160, and then the Kodak Zi6 is $150. Now, two of these devices film in high definition, or HD. The Vado HD and the Kodak Zi6. The Mino has an HD version, but I didn't look at that. The reason I didn't look at that is with the three cameras, I'm filming in VGA. Since I'm sharing my content on the internet, on the web, there's no point creating high-definition movies because these will be of larger file size and harder for students to download. There's no point creating something as large as that. It's going to be more conducive to students' needs to create something that has a smaller file size. HD also has a tendency to introduce camera shake more often. So again, I'm keeping things as simple as possible. So with the HD cameras here, the Vado and the Kodak, I'm filming in VGA mode. Anyway, in terms of batteries, the Vado has a removable battery. It's of lithium ion and it looks similar to something you might see on a cell phone. The Mino does not have a removable battery. The only way to recharge it is to plug in the USB connection and to wait a couple of hours. And then the Kodak Zi6 has two removable AA batteries. In terms of recording time, you can pretty much guarantee to get 2 hours out of a Vado on one battery. In my tests, I've typically run to about 2 hours and 20 minutes, but I think 2 hours is a good rule of thumb. With the Mino, you can expect to get 1 hour of content. Again, in tests, I've been able to push out a little bit more, typically about an hour and a half of content, but 1 hour, again, is a good rule of thumb. The Kodak Zi6 will record about two and a half hours of content. Now, in terms of capacity, the Vado HD comes with about 8 gigabytes of memory. If you're filming in VGA mode, that translates to about 8 hours of content. The Flip Mino has about 2 gigabytes of content, and really you can expect to film about an hour's worth of content, perhaps an hour and a half. And then the Kodak Zi6 has a very limited amount of onboard memory, 30 megabytes, but it allows you to plug in a secure digital card. So the capacity of that card will dictate how much you can film. So what do these three devices look like when you film something within the classroom? Here I've got a short test on screen.
This is a test recording using the three cameras.
In the background you can hear me speaking. I'm filming this from about 25 feet from the podium. All three cameras are on a tripod, so they're side by side and filming simultaneously. So on the left we're seeing footage from the Flip Mino. Beside that, the Vado HD and then the Kodak Zi6. So this is normal light. not ideal, so in a second you'll see me turn down some of the lights in the room.
Picking up these pictures here, the room is a little bit too bright. So let's see how things look when I dim the lights. Okay, I've reduced the lights somewhat, so hopefully...
Okay, so I've dimmed some of the lights. You can see that perhaps the Mino has the better quality here. The Vado is almost as good. And then the Zi6, the quality is diminished and the field of view is reduced. Essentially, you have to move the camera further back to get as much of an image. And then in a second, you'll see me switch off the lights entirely and to see what it's like to film just using the projector as a light source.
Editing and publishing options. So let's see how things look when I switch off the lights entirely within this room. So there we go, I've switched off the lights within this room. We now have just the projector essentially lighting what's going on.
So from my tests, I would say the Flip Mino, in terms of video quality, is the preferable device. In terms of audio, I found the Vado to perhaps have the best output. At the end of this file, you'll see I have concatenated the tests in 3 formats where I display with the audio connection from each of the 3 devices. From my tests, I consider the Zi6 to have the worst quality of audio, the Mino to be second, and the Vado to be first. So from my review, I was pretty much able to discount the Zi6. Even though it's the most affordable camera, it's not the one I would suggest using in the classroom. Reduced field of view and the audio quality are the 2 reasons why I would not use this device. So we're down to the Flip, or the Vado HD. If you know that you're going to be filming less than 1 hour of content for your class, then I would suggest getting the Flip. If, however, you need to record a 3-hour class in entirety, you have to go with the Vado HD. Now for this, you would have to get some spare batteries. It's possible to change the batteries each break and be able to film a 3-hour class. The only way you could do this with the Flip would be if you had 3 cameras and you were able to space your class in such a way that there were breaks every hour. So what's the total cost of using the Vado? Well, the camera itself is about $220, but I said you're going to need to use external batteries. Now you can charge the batteries from within the camera, but a more sensible approach is to get an external charger. This will cost you $30. Then in terms of spare batteries, you're going to be spending again $30, that's $15 each, which brings us to $280. But that's not the only cost you're going to incur, because you will need to use a tripod. Now there are many tripods out there, and what I did in terms of my testing was to break into 3 areas. The first area is handheld. If you wanted to record in a mobile environment, and this perhaps would be maybe an on-site visit to a factory shop floor or visiting somebody in their offices, and you need to move the camera around, you might want to use something that works as a stabilizer. Typically these are fairly expensive devices, but there is something that is somewhat affordable, which is the Manfrotto 585 Modo Steady, which is a 3-in-1 camera camcorder stabilizer. It works as a tripod as well on the desk, and you can brace it against your shoulder, similar to the way you perhaps might hold some form of shotgun, and this allows you to hold your focus more readily. But anyway, as a Steadicam, you'll see on the screen there is a weight that descends below the camera, and the idea here is this avoids camera shake. The question is, does it really work? So what I've done on the next screen is filmed with the Steadicam and then without the Steadicam to the right. I'm walking through the DePaul offices here. From my perspective, there isn't a terrible amount of difference between the two. We have a little less camera shake on the left using this device, but it's still noticeable. Perhaps with more practice, I could reduce this, but I think for most people you'd be in the same situation. However, things improve somewhat once you start panning, so you'll see in a couple of seconds I start to climb the stairs here on the left, and then to pan around. And in those situations things do look a little bit better with the Steadicam. So if you are intending to film in a mobile environment, this is an item to consider purchasing. Okay, but if you're recording in the classroom, you're going to need a tripod. So I looked at a couple of options here. In terms of desktop options, there are 4 devices that you might want to look at. The first one up here is the flexible mini tripod, and you can pick these up for something between $5 and $15. I would not recommend purchasing these. A couple of the devices that I looked at are somewhat flimsy. The legs will occasionally fall off. These are not ideal devices. Other options include the Manfrotto Modo Pocket, which is truly not a tripod because it essentially has 2 legs. This is a device that folds down to about the size of a credit card and is incredibly portable. It's designed to be fixed permanently to the base of the camera, so this is something you have with you and then you just fold out as you need it. It's useful, but it's perhaps not the ideal way to film. My preferred option is either the GorillaPod or the UltraPod 2. Now the GorillaPod is a tripod with flexible legs. These legs can be wrapped around and curved in such a way that you can use it either as a tripod on a desk or wrap it around some object in the room. The back of a chair, perhaps a item hanging from the ceiling, perhaps you could fix it near the projector itself. This makes it very useful within the classroom environment. These typically cost around $20 or so. The UltraPod 2 is a similar device in terms of functionality. It has fixed legs, and then it also has a piece of Velcro that's attached to one of the legs. The Velcro is something that you can use to wrap around, again, a fixed object in the room. Photographers will typically wrap this around a tree branch or a lamppost or some other object to fix their camera. Cost is around $15. So again, I would typically recommend getting either both or one of those 2 options, the GorillaPod or the UltraPod. If you want to use a real tripod, then you have 2 options. You can either go for something fairly lightweight that you can carry around within your laptop bag, or you go for something a little bit heavier. If you're going for the medium option, something that you can carry with you, I think one of your best options is the Manfrotto 785 Modo Maxi. This is a tripod with a photo video head, and this device typically costs about $60. It's fairly portable. When you fold it up, it's about 17.5 inches in length, around the size of an umbrella. And when I say umbrella, I'm talking about a folding umbrella. When you extend it, the height is about 60 inches, or 1.5 meters. So this is something you can use in the classroom quite easily. You can extend the use of this camera by fixing a device on top which allows you to have more than one camera on one tripod. These twin bars, which you can get from Berazin.com, are things that I've used for testing. And you can MacGyver things in such a way that you could have 3 cameras filming simultaneously. The devices are fairly pocketable. The one that you can see the front is only a couple of inches in length, so this is something you can slip into a jacket pocket quite easily. But if you're looking for a greater degree of height within the classroom, you're looking for something that's a little bit more stable, then we're starting to move towards the professional end of the spectrum. And here I'd suggest getting the Manfrotto 055X Pro B Pro tripod. This retails for about $85, and the tripod comes without a head, so you have to buy an additional head to go on top of the tripod to plug this into a camera. Now in reality you're probably not going to want to go this approach, since you're putting a consumer device on top of it, but I wanted to put some information out here for people who might consider this. In terms of a head, I would recommend the Manfrotto 322 RC2 ball head. This is designed for video cameras, so it gives you the ability to pan and tilt very readily and then to lock the device into position using the switch grip here you can see down on the left. If you are getting one of these tripods, then an additional gadget you could consider is this, the Manfrotto 31DDB tripod accessory arm. This device allows you to put 4 camera heads on one tripod. So you could use this to set up a situation where you're filming multiple sources simultaneously. Now the reasons why you might want to do this would be for situations where you are filming a live event or where you're filming an interview. You can set up things in such a way that you're filming the various participants of the interview simultaneously. Now what I've done in the past is use 2 cameras to record Q&A sessions or interview sessions, and having that ability to focus in on the individual participants is very helpful. I'll then move the footage in and mix this into one sort of output. But anyway, this is perhaps beyond the scope of most people, but I'm just putting out the options. In terms of the tripod here, when extended, the height is about 178 centimeters, so you're approaching 2 meters in height. With this device, it's very easy to film over the heads of students in the classroom. Now, in terms of filming in the classroom, there is a trade-off that you're going to have to encounter. Typically, most people will film at the back of the classroom, trying to fill in as much as possible on the screen. The problem with this approach is your camera may film what you want to film, but your microphone is unlikely to pick up what you'd like to record. Your microphone is nearer the students who are in the classroom, and it's further away from where you are in front of the screen and near the podium. So a compromise is to move your camera to either the left or the right hand side of the classroom. If the podium is to the left, then I would suggest putting the camera to the left, so you're able to film the podium and then the screen behind. Now hopefully you can plan things in such a way that you're not walking off camera too much. With this approach, hopefully the onboard microphone will pick up most of what you say. A better approach, however, would be to record audio separately, either through a computer in the room, just plugging in a microphone into a USB connection there, or by walking around with a mobile microphone. You might want to use something like the Sansa Clip, or perhaps something a little bit more expensive like the Zoom H2. Now the downside to using an external microphone is you have to synchronize and edit this footage. The way I typically manage synchronization is as I start my classes, I'll say something and clap my hands together at the same time, and that gives me something to focus on. But this adds additional time to editing, so it's a choice. Do you want to create something that's going to be more work, or do you want to create something that's going to be less work but is a compromise? Now in terms of editing and sharing, in a subsequent Technology Tuesday I'll go into this into more detail, but there are 2 recommended approaches I suggest for DePaul faculty. The first one is you distribute your videos through iTunes U. This is a format that I've mentioned previously, and it allows your students to download your videos and play them in iTunes or on an iPod. To do this, you would probably want to use QuickTime to do some basic editing to your video. You can get rid of elements at the start and the end of the recording, so basically you can crop something down, and then you can export this into an M4V format, which is the preferred format for iPods and iTunes U. If you don't want to do that, you could of course give these files to your IDD consultant, or you can talk to me and I can sort out things for you. Second option is to use Uyala, which is a streaming service here at Paul. Again, the issue here is you probably don't have access to the surface, so you would have to work with an IDD consultant or myself to get this footage up, but we can do things pretty quickly. And what I do myself, the classes where I'm teaching or the presentations where I need to record something, is I'm using ScreenFlow, and then I'm also using a camera in the classroom, and I'm able to edit and mix these two formats together. I export this as M4V file and put it up on iTunes U. I'll also export this as a video which will go into Uyala, so students are able to look at this in both formats. To give you an idea of how it looks, here's the first couple of seconds from one of my classes. So here on the left we have whatever I was showing as a PowerPoint or Keynote slide up on the screen, and then on the right you can see footage of me filming in the classroom. So I'm just going to move through the video a little bit here, and you can see that the slides change. And here, I don't have to have a situation where what I'm filming within the classroom is showing up on the camera. Because I'm using my computer and ScreenFlow to record what's going on there, I don't have to worry so much about the composition of the shot. Anyway, there you go. That was Technology Tuesday for March, talking about the 3 consumer devices that you might want to use in the classroom. I'll be talking in more detail about editing in subsequent Technology Tuesdays.
Hello, this is a test recording using the 3 cameras, the Flip Mino, the Kodak Zi6, and the Creative Labs Vado HD. As you can see, there are certain advantages and disadvantages to each of the cameras. You'll notice that the field of view is not identical, even though each of the 3 cameras are in the same position. And here we have on screen the 3 cameras. You'll notice that you're probably not picking up these pictures here. The room is a little bit too bright. So let's see how things look when I dim the lights. Okay, I've reduced the lights somewhat, so hopefully what you can see is the 3 cameras up on the screen here. And again, all 3 cameras are in the same position, so they should pick up audio equally. And there's certain criteria I'm looking for here. Battery life, recording capacity, recording quality, both audio and visual, as well as ease of use, size, and then editing and publishing options. So let's see how things look when I switch off the lights entirely within this room. So there we go, I've switched off the lights within this room. We now have just the projector essentially lighting what's going on here. Hello, this is a test recording using the 3 cameras, the Flip Mino, the Kodak Zi6, and the Creative Labs Vado HD. As you can see, there are certain advantages and disadvantages to each of the cameras. You'll notice that the field of view is not identical, even though each of the 3 cameras are in the same position. And here we have on screen the 3 cameras. You'll notice that you're probably not picking up these pictures here. The room is a little bit too bright. So let's see how things look when I dim the lights. Okay, I've reduced the lights somewhat, so hopefully what you can see is the 3 cameras up on the screen here. And again, all 3 cameras are in the same position, so they should pick up audio equally. And there's certain criteria I'm looking for here. Battery life, recording capacity, recording quality, both audio and visual, as well as ease of use, size, and then editing and publishing options. So let's see how things look when I switch off the lights entirely within this room. So there we go, I've switched off the lights within this room. We now have just the projector essentially lighting what's going on here. Hello, this is a test recording using the three cameras, the Flip Mino, the Kodak Zi6 and the Creative Labs Vado HD. As you can see, there are certain advantages and disadvantages to each of the cameras. You'll notice that the field of view is not identical, even though each of the three cameras are in the same position. And here we have on screen the three cameras. You'll notice that you're probably not picking up these pictures here. The room is a little bit too bright. So let's see how things look when I dim the lights. Okay, I've reduced the lights somewhat, so hopefully what you can see is the three cameras up on the screen here. And again, all three cameras are in the same position, so they should pick up audio equally. And there's certain criteria I'm looking for here. Battery life, recording capacity, recording quality, both audio and visual, as well as ease of use, size, and then editing and publishing options. So let's see how things look when I switch off the lights entirely within this room. So there we go, I've switched off the lights within this room. We now have just the projector essentially lighting what's going on here.